Okay, quite a quick episode of 2 Minute Tuesday this week. This is regarding the certificate of habitation. We've covered the certificate of habitation in ebooks on this 2 Minute Tuesday before. We've done articles about it, but occasionally it's not possible to get a certificate of habitation for whatever reason. Normally because the local town hall don't produce it. So what happens if you either live in a property in an area where we cannot get a new certificate of habitation, or if you're looking to buy a property and you're looking to buy a property that isn't able to get a certificate of habitation, what options are available to you? So that's the topic for this week's edition of 2 Minute Tuesday with Hundon Valley Homes. Okay, so what is a certificate of habitation? So as I mentioned before, we've covered this in ebooks and articles and 2 Minute Tuesday episodes, and I'll hopefully, if I remember, put a link in the description for you to do it. But basically, certificate of habitation, the cédule de habitabilidad, the license of secondary occupation, the license of occupation, they're all a similar sort of document, or the same documents. And it's a document to say that the house was built in accordance with the licenses and the codes applicable at the time, and that it's safe to connect the property to the utilities of water and electricity and gas if gas is available. And this is a document that is issued by the town hall, normally to the builder or the first occupant, or it's given to the builder who then gives it to the first occupant of the property. And it says that the house is built in accordance with everything. It can be connected to all the utilities. And this license has normally a life of 5 or 10 years, depending on the area. And the reason it has an expiration on it is because you may buy a new built property, you may buy a villa, and on the certificate of habitation, the builder has built the villa. However, in the next couple of years, you could add to that a swimming pool, you could add a garage, stables, a pool house, a summer kitchen, all the things that people tend to add to properties, extensions and things like this. And so over a few years, the property isn't the same as it was when it was originally built by the builder. And so the certificate of habitation has a duration. Now, when you buy a property and let's say you buy a new property and you get the first certificate, then if you live in that property for 10 years and the certificate expires after 5 years, you're not doing anything wrong by not renewing it. It's not like a driving license, things like that you need to keep up to date. And it will only become important when you come to sell the house, when I turn up at your front door and ask you if you've got a valid certificate of habitation. And if you don't, we then take the steps in order to be able to get one. And this is normally done through your lawyer or your architect. However, there are occasions where a certificate of habitation isn't available. And this is normally because there is the town hall don't issue them, or there is a restriction on the town hall where they can't issue them. So how do you sell a house, or how do you buy a house where a certificate of habitation isn't available? So what generally happens is, the reason that there's a restriction that doesn't allow the certificate of habitation to be issued is something that can be overcome in time. And if the house has already got connection to water and electricity, then it's less important to have the documents than if it was a new built property that wasn't connected to the utilities. So if the property already has a connection, it's less important. And what we can generally do with the agreement of the buyer's lawyer and the vendor's lawyer is to agree what's called a retention. And this basically means that if the cost of applying for the certificate and receiving it is €500, the lawyers will hold back €1,000 or €1,500 to allow them to apply for the document when it becomes available. And they take the extra money just because if you're selling the property and you're going to, say, disappear back to the UK, it'll be very difficult to get extra money off you to get a document that means nothing to you. So the lawyers always generally take more than it costs to obtain the documents, so that they've got a little extra money in the kitty in case they need some more work to be done, to undertake in order to get the document itself. So if you are selling your house and you're in an area where you can't get a certificate of habitation, you need to be prepared for the fact that the lawyers will agree a retention which will allow you to sell the property without the document being in place, because in some areas, for example in Honda de los Frailes, we've not had certificates of habitation for many years now, and it certainly hasn't stopped the property market there. And again, if you're buying a property, again, you must take the advice of your lawyer. You know, I'm the estate agent sat here giving you advice, but your lawyer will give you your advice and they work just for you. But if you take the advice of your lawyer and your lawyer knows how rustic property works, and as opposed to, say, some city lawyers who are used to dealing with new build apartments, and you know, you're buying 3C in a block of apartments, when you're buying a piece of land with a villa on it out in the countryside, where over the years it's been increased in size and updating everything, it comes a little bit more complicated. And we've certainly dealt with our fair share of lawyers who are scared of dealing with rustic property rather than urban property. But if you're buying a property and the property doesn't have a certificate of habitation, then your lawyer, in accordance with the other lawyer, will agree to retain some funds so that when the document is available, it can be obtained at no cost to you and no risk to you as the buyer. So, as buyers and sellers, you both need to take the word of your lawyer and the advice that they give you with regards to how you deal with this. But the lack of a certificate of habitation is not the end of a sale when it comes to properties, because properties can still be bought and sold without a certificate of habitation. So that's it for this week's 2 Minute Tuesday. It's really quite a simple one. I've probably waffled a little bit on it. I tried to keep it short, but looking at it now, 6 minutes. The next episode will be along in a couple of weeks' time. My details should be on the screen at the moment, so if you've got any questions, please feel free to let me know. And until the next episode, we look forward to seeing you then. Adios.